So here we are at Noble Night Games in sunny Fitchburg, Wisconsin, and it is pretty sunny today. We're here with, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Stan Leeder, Vice President of Noble Night Games.
And
Thanks for coming, you guys. I appreciate you making the trek.
It has been a fabulous drive, except for the parts where we were in Indiana. So, and of course, with me is Brant, who's going to kind of tag in and out on this brief chat that we're going to have with Dan. So you're responsible for pretty much the day-to-day operation here at the main facility.
Yeah, I oversee operations here at Noble Night.
Okay.
Strategy
and you still got a full head of hair, so you're doing okay.
Love my job. Every day is something different, so I really enjoy it.
Yeah. We have already done, folks will see this content either before or after this, the little tour of the amazing warehouse where I could spend all day and never leave and just like nest under the shelves of copies of ASL and old Avalon Hill games. But so you're pretty full service, right? You've got a website where people can buy stuff online, and you've got a substantial retail space and an enormous warehouse with, you said 45,000 square feet for the building?
Yeah, the building's 45,000 square feet.
And I'm guessing the warehouse is probably at least 35.
Between shipping and the actual warehouse, about 35,000 is that, and then 10,000 is between office, store, game room.
You have over 1 million gaming things in stock.
Individual items, including all the magic cards, all the miniatures that we have. It's over 1 million items.
How much do you see that number fluctuate, actually, or is that something you keep track of? Just 'cause I'm curious.
We've been adding to our cataloging and curation staff, so it has been steadily going up. Obviously, it fluctuates throughout the year. You have the holiday season, it goes down. Throughout the year, it kind of builds up.
After I shop, it goes down.
Right, this weekend it will
Well, inventory is down again.
Gary must have been here.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Now, of course, I've been here before. A couple of years ago, actually during the pandemic, we were just kind of driving by Madison, Wisconsin. And do you tell people you're in Madison, or do you tell people you're in Fitchburg? If you're talking to people who don't know this,
we say both.
Okay.
Locally we'll say Fitchburg. We'll say Greater Madison area when we're talking our newsletter.
Yeah, and if we wouldn't have gotten stopped at that Indiana toll booths that didn't work, the drive would have only been about 7.5 hours.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And Fitchburg's about 15 minutes from Madison, so it's basically
it's a suburb of Madison, right?
Yeah.
So you guys you buy, sell, and trade stuff. So for example, we all brought a couple boxes, in my case 5 boxes of stuff to trade in, and we'll walk out with stuff too. I'll walk out with more than he will, and probably you too, to be honest. But so what are the kind of, people will ask this, people get curious about how the prices end up, but what are some of the, if you don't mind talking about this, what are some of the factors that go into making those determinations as far as what you're able to offer and what you're then going to sell the stuff for?
Yeah, so we take trades. We have trades come in mail, so we pay free shipping. If you live in California or even in a foreign country, we'll take your trade. We'll send you free shipping labels. We also take in a lot of trades in store, and so the factors that we look at when looking at what the price are, what we have in inventory, right? So if it's a game we haven't had in inventory for a long time and sells, then we're gonna pay more rather than we've got 45 copies in stock and it's not moving very well. We're not gonna be able to pay as much. We've been in business now for 27 years, so we've got an extensive database that shows what items it's sold for. Pricing.
Yeah, I was gonna
that's
say,
a big factor.
You're able to look at your own internal price history as opposed to having a guess based on eBay and BGG or whatever you're looking at.
Yeah, that's the first. We look at our own database first, and then if there's not a lot of data there, if it's old, then we'll go out and look at the market, eBay or other sites. So we look at pricing. Obviously, conditions a big factor, right? If you got a shrink wrap, new out of print game, it's typically going to get more than if you've got a incomplete or a fair condition game. So conditions obviously really important. And then so those are the main factors that we look at when we're evaluating trades.
I am curious, just because we saw a lot of what was in the warehouse, and then also you showed us that sort of spare parts wall of it's incomplete, but we're going to hang on to it in case we can put a couple of these together and make it complete.
Right.
How often do your folks ever just say no, like we can't take this? Does that ever really happen? Or I wouldn't think it would happen that often just looking at the spare parts wall.
It happens occasionally. If we get someone that has one game that's parcheesi or something like that, we might turn it down because it doesn't make sense to pay shipping on that. But I would say 99% of trades we accept. And usually we don't cherry pick your collection either, right? So if you've got 100 games and you got 5 that we're overstocked on or whatever, we're not going to say no. We'll go ahead and accept the entire trade for that. So,
how does that kind of tend to break down? Do people tend to bring in trades where it's one or two pieces, or tend to do what we did, where it's a whole carload of stuff?
It's all over the board. I mean, we've had trades that are one item, and then we get a lot of trades that are like that. Like one expensive piece, or we'll get we've gotten a whole truckload before. So we've got there's collectors out there.
That wasn't me.
Yeah, that wasn't you. We'll get to that.
However, my rear shocks are going to be happier going home.
They are.
You'll have better gas mileage on the way home.
They are.
Yeah. So what the trades are all over the board. We'll get a pallet, a couple pallets, one box,
whole semi full.
Yeah.
So that actually doesn't really that surprising if you think about how some of these things go down.
I am just not that you would necessarily know, but I would be really curious to talk to one of those people that had the truckload. Right? What's the backstory behind how you ended up with a truckload of games you're driving up to Noble Knight with?
Have you met Bruce Rife?
Yeah, well,
we literally had a trade where we had to hire a moving team of 16 movers out east, and
wow,
they came into the person's house, they boxed it all up, loaded it on palletized it, shrink wrapped it, loaded it on a semi.
Wow,
and sent it to us. It took us over a month to process.
That is a wow,
right.
And that might have been Bruce. To be fair. But because I've heard about what Bruce has, it's insane.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of stuff. So
Right.
so how did? Let's talk a little. I know Brant wanted to ask about this too. Let's talk a little bit about how Noble Knight got started in the first place, because it was like a garage type operation at first, wasn't it?
Yeah. So my brother Aaron, he's the founder and the majority owner of Noble Knight, and he was a gamer in the mid '90s and playing D&D, and he quickly came to realize that some of these out of print D&D books you could make some money on them.
Yeah.
So he would go to local game shops, he'd go to bookstores, and he'd see, there's an out of print book that I can get more for than they're selling for, and so he'd negotiate with the store owners and he'd buy a box of games, and then he'd come back the next week and buy a couple boxes, and then he'd buy a whole shelf, and then it was a whole pallet.
I think I remember reading that he was checking Goodwills and local thrift stores for things that people dumped and garage sales and stuff. Just if it was a used game, he was going to grab it because he knew somebody somewhere was going to want it.
Yeah, it started. I was an AOL website, as you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
It was called Aaron's Out of Print.
This was 1906.
Yeah. And it was just it was an AOL website, and it was just a text list of what we had. So it would say, TSR, DDs and demigods, whatever, and the condition.
I remember getting the emails from him. Noble Knight Games newsletter for June '96 or whatever it was.
Yeah, and then it just grew from there. Like I said, it was a bookshelf, and then it was a room in his house, and then eventually it took up the whole second story, and that was the whole main floor. And then he said, after the whole basement was shelved out, he said, it's time I got an actual warehouse.
Or a divorce.
That's
One
how
of
it
the two.
started. We built he rented a warehouse in Janesville, and then built a warehouse about 10 years later in Janesville. And then about 7-8 years ago, we moved up here. So.
Yeah, it's a beautiful facility. Whistle clean. You could eat off the bathroom floor. Very different from the rest stops in Indiana, and it's a huge facility. And one of the cool things about doing trade-ins is you can just not walk out with any cash, right? So you can, of course, walk out with cash if you want. And I found that when we came last time and did some trade-ins, that the cash offer was pretty respectable. I felt, and the the in-store credit offer is even better. And I think I didn't have anything personally last time. We were bringing Dave Minery's stuff from Denver, and it was a whole trunk full of stuff. And you guys went through it pretty quickly, all things considered.
And we've gotten pretty efficient at that.
Even just the stuff we dropped today, they got through by the time we were out of the warehouse tour.
Well, I want to ask about that too, actually. So how does that work, having not done it this way, where I've worked out a trade in advance and then you guys have paid for the shipping or whatever. So tell me how that works, because you don't have to come up here to Fitchburg, Wisconsin.
Right. Yeah. So we do trades in store, but also if you've got pictures of your collection, if you have a list, so you've got a list on Board Game Geek, or you got your own Excel, send that into us. We'll then turn it around usually within a couple days.
You just take access databases.
Yeah, you can send your access database over. We'll load that up.
We'll figure it out.
No problem.
You have to send that from an AOL email
right.
address.
No, it would be Lotus. What was the Lotus Smart Suite database program?
Who knows?
The other thing we do too is if, say, you don't have a list, say you just got a collection and you don't want to take the time and inventory it, we have a program called Skip the List, where
Mm-hmm.
you will we'll send you a shipping label. We will inventory your items that you have,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll send you an offer. So
Mhm.
we've got that program too. We've got
Mhm.
a fair amount of people that don't have a list. They don't want to go to the time to inventory it themselves.
Like
and I
those
said, "Let's do
people
that."
with the semi, for example.
Right. That's what we did. Yeah.
One of the things I was curious about, and to the extent that you can share, but in terms of sort of running the business and how, you told us a little bit about it. It was the shelf, then it was the room, then it was the second floor, and then, oh my God, honey, we got to go build a warehouse. But in terms of the actual operations of the company, kind of the evolution of, man, I got this giant shelf and this, manually managed email list that I'm sending out, up to the point where, crap, we really need a digitized inventory system. We need extra people to help start cataloging stuff. And like we saw the whole crowd of people doing the intakes. Like, I mean, I've worked in smaller offices than you guys have back there doing intakes.
I've worked in smaller factories.
Yeah, no kidding. So what was that evolution like? Where at what point was Aaron like, Dan, I can't do this, get over here, or bringing other people in and
Because you've got a lot of employees. I mean, we've seen to this morning a lot of employees here.
I mean, Saturday morning we've seen 20 people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've got about 90 employees now, and it's steadily grown. I remember when I was in school back in the early 2000s, I actually came on the weekend and helped Aaron pack. It was him and we'd pack up the week's worth of orders back there on a Saturday, Sunday. So the operation's steadily growing. When we moved here from Janesville 7 years ago, we had about 20 folks. So we've grown steadily. And then, to your point, one thing that we've really had to spend a lot of time on as we've gotten bigger is putting in place systems and processes. And
that's
process
really
that
important.
Yeah, process that might have worked 10 years ago now might not work, has to be relooked at. So we've done a lot of that. We have our own homegrown system that we use for inventory management, but we've had to add on a lot of extra systems that we've had to purchase to handle things like we have a ticketing system, for example, for customer service, an HR system, things like that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the inventory method and shipping methods and all that stuff, from we have 1 million products in the warehouse and to I'm shipping 6 boxes a week from eBay sales.
Right.
Totally different.
A lot different.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally different.
Absolutely.
No, it's just again, knowing where it all started, from being on that email list way back when, to seeing what it is now. It's like, holy crap. I mean, it's been 20 years. Like, a lot can happen in 20 years, but still, it's really impressive to see how much it ramped up. And I was just sort of curious kind of how that evolution flowed. So it's kind of neat to see that. And look, we're gamers at heart, so to see a big success story in the game business, like, that's cool. Like, we love those,
Yeah, there's been a lot of growth, and the industry's really grown over the years too. So it's been fun to kind of be along for that ride.
Yeah, analog gaming has exploded in the last 15 years as a response to digital gaming, right? Everybody thought it was going to go the other way. I also wanted to ask about war games specifically, because you've got, just looking at the warehouse too, there's a lot of war games here. So is that like a significant part of the business, just the war games? Because you do every kind of games, right? You got the card games, the RPG games, the family games, the co-op games, the tape, whatever. So
that entire aisle of game mats, which was kind of impressive.
Yeah, I had no idea that many mats had ever been created. So
we're pretty diversified as a business. We sell a lot of every category. So we sell a lot of role-playing games, a lot of war games, a lot of board games, a lot of miniatures. War games in total is about 20% of our business.
That's pretty substantial,
it's a
actually.
significant part of the business, And we've been, war games has been steadily increasing for us too. So.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
So it's us and the players' aid here, folks. So we're all doing great. But we, happy to help too. So
absolutely. Customer service is one of our core values. It's something we stress across the board, and we state that to all of our employees over and over. And customer service is not just our 4 members that are part of the customer service team answering emails, or our trades team. It's every person in the building. So it's the warehouse guy that packages your package. It's our catalogers who are cataloging your game, making sure it's in the right condition, that it's complete, right? Making sure that it's fully cataloged, the description's correct. Customer service is every one of our 90 employees. So we've really stressed that.
Yeah, everybody's customer facing pretty much.
Yeah, Aaron and I have said that if we lose customer service, we're just going to shut the doors. We plan on maintaining excellent customer service. I think customer service is dying in the world, it seems like, to me. Noble Knight will always.
Usually it's robots.
Yeah.
Please don't hire any robots. Okay.
Well, but going back to the whole issue of how much the place has grown from where it started to be able to maintain that level of customer focused service, not just customer service. Everybody's got customer service, but customer focused service through that growth. Like, you don't see that a lot anywhere. Never mind, something is off the wall and niche as the game world. So.
Yeah, and if there problems do arise occasionally. I've had a couple issues, right? And I call and it gets straightened out, and that's that.
Right. Yeah, we're not perfect, but if we do make a mistake, we're gonna make it right.
Yeah, so, every time. Yeah. Absolutely every time in my experience, which is at this point considerable. So considering everything that's been going on in the last couple of years.
I am curious, of the 90 people you have working for you, are there any non-gamers in the crowd?
A few. I would say the majority of the staff are gamers. But yeah, we've got probably 20 or 30% that aren't, but majority are, yeah. And there's different folks here, right? We've got war gamers, we got miniature gamers, we got RPG players, we got folks that like
die-hard crokinole.
We got hobbyists, right? We got folks that are into the lore. We got folks that so it's all types of folks. Yeah, we're very inclusive group, and get along, have a good time, and try to make Noble Knight better every day.
Yeah, well, you guys are doing a bang-up job up here as far as I'm concerned. And if you guys could just open like a satellite warehouse in Akron, Ohio, that would be fabulous. And I would probably get divorced. But other than I'd be spending more time with you guys than I would at home. But you guys are doing a great job here, right? It's a fabulous store, just from a retail. I've been in a lot of retail game stores and worked in more than a couple. And this is
my first trip
a
up
level
here,
beyond any other store that I personally have seen, right? Even if you don't forget about the warehouse and the trades, and if you just look at the floor, the retail space, it's top tier, plus all the other stuff Noble Knight does. I'm gushing now, and it's embarrassing. But other than that, you guys are doing a great job.
Oh, thank you.
So,
thank you very much.
And I'm happy to say that you guys are not just partners but buddies.
Appreciate it.
So we really appreciate that. Brant, did you have any further questions?
No, quite. I just reiterating the gushing about the store.
Okay. There's a picture of him gushing.
Yeah.
The gush.
We've been in a lot every game stores around the country, literally around the country, and
neither of us are new at this, folks.
I mean, we run about every other week. We've tried to keep it consistent. About every other week, we've got we do the FLWGS spotlight because we want to focus on some of the war game stores, and so we get pictures of the stores, we get information about the stores, so we see a lot, we've been to a lot, got our staff sending in pictures from a lot of them. The decor in here is way better than you see at a lot of places. A lot of wire metal racks, and you guys have like real bookshelves. The cool stuff you've got hanging on the wall, just like every touch around the building is what it all works together to enhance the overall place, and it feels really cool. Around it.
It's just a nice place to play, right? A huge amount of game space here too, as we'll see in the various videos that come out of this trip.
And the thing is, most folks are going to interact with you guys online, mailing stuff, buying stuff. Not as many people are going to make the pilgrimage, but they should, right? But they should. So.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your partnership.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thanks for being here today. As well, on his day off, came in and talked to us, and we just sprung this on them like 2 weeks ago. So
no problem at all. I appreciate it. Nice to be here to meet you guys.
All right, awesome, Dan. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Massive thanks to the patrons of Ardwulf's Lair, whose support and encouragement make what we do at Ardwulf's Lair possible. Thank you, patrons. Links to help support the channel are in the video description, so check out the Patreon, the Ko-Fi, and the merch store, where you can get snazzy Ardwulf's Lair t-shirts, drinking vessels, and other cool swag. There is also an affiliate link for Noble Knight games in the video description. If you buy stuff through that affiliate link, it helps us support the channel with Noble Knight store credit. Thank you, Noble Knight. Until next time, thanks for watching, and happy gaming.